What is up guys, it's Cyh Kaitoh here. I'm back with another deck profile. As you can see, this is gonna be a pure Invoked deck profile. Got a friend of mine requested to do this deck for him. He's new to this game and he plans to play the good old Alisters. He said he seen this deck like a couple years ago and wanted to play it back since it become like a little bit more affordable. So I decided to do this as well. For those who like knows me for quite a while, they will probably know that I'm also famous for playing this deck because at my locals I always take out this deck for ranking or any tournaments because I don't play as much as meta decks back then. I only have this and currently it's still with me. I just bumped this rarity, like, yeah, it's here. So without further ado, let's get into the profile. First off, not one, not two, but three, the man behind the culprit. 3 Alisters is your go-to guy, your normal summons, your only normal summons. You want to see him every single opening hand, you want to see him every single time, you want to normal summon it, you want to search it, you want to go off, play off, you wanted to see him. Every time you open a Lister, you're not necessarily just normal summon it, you can just set it in different case of scenario. So 3 Listers. Next off, hand traps. 3 Ash Blossoms, because why not? It's the most common hand trap in the game right now, stopping opponents from combo off, stopping opponent from searching, from whatever your opponent try to do, you just throw Ash. Because Ash is best girl. Next off, triple maxi, drawing card in Yugioh is nice. You're preventing your opponent from continuing combo off, you force your opponent to stop. Yeah, and also draw into your deck as much as possible. Double Decro, I was playing Skullmeister, but I thought about it and then I changed to this because sometimes your opponent might chain block you, and for me I thought that if I play Decro, I might as well just remove the problem, like Eldritch the Golden Lords, like Dry Trance or Mirror Match. It's just much better sometimes. Next up we have 2 Ghost Spells. I know I play a lot of hand traps lineup, but it's a slow grind deck, so you might need a lot of hand traps to help you grind through your decks, grind through your opponents, grind through the whole game, control as much as possible, and also it's a much more grave based environment right now, so I play a lot of grave hand traps like DD Crows and Ghost Spells. That's it for the monsters. For spells, 2 Meltdown. Sadly this card bumps down to 2, but it doesn't change the consistency of the deck. You just, there's 1 card, so that's why we play the Terraforming to search it out, and this is the card that prevents you from losing Alisters, preventing from Solums or wherever it is. This card is good, increases consistency. Next, triple Invocations. This is the different build I did for my Invoked Dogmatica. In this variant I play 3 because your deck lineup is so thin and you play a lot of staples like hand traps or even pots or like upstart goblins like that. So you need 3. You want to see him mostly every time. You don't want the end of the board like your normal summon Lister get negated and pass. Excuse me about it. Yeah, 3 Invocation is the correct number in this lineup. Dusters, Spell Inventory, back row removal, 2 Call By, because you don't want to lose to hand traps. You might lose to Imperm, but I choose not to play Crossout Designator because it's a once per turn and you need more choices like more Garnets and Breeze in your deck in order for Crossout to work, but these don't. And it's not once per turn, sometimes it's remove the problems from the grave, like same like Eldritch or even Dry Trance. This card is more viable for me. Next, 2 Cosmic. This deck loses to back row a lot, so I'm maining 2 Cosmics to pop the back rows, like crackdowns, like Orchestrated Battle. You just wanted to remove it. Next, Triple Desires, because like I said, your deck lineup is very thin. You don't have much of an important cards that you want to stay in the deck. You just wanted to draw. You wanted to thin as much as possible. you wanted to draw into your decks, you wanted the consistency, you wanted hand size, and this card just helps you do it. Follow up by prosperities, because digging deck is good. Sometimes you don't always use all of your extra decks. You will have one or two or maybe even more than three you didn't use in game, so you can use this to dig into your decks like even more. And since we're playing a slowly grind control deck, so two scapegoats, because your extra deck is very, like I said, it's mostly fodders, so you might as well just play a scapegoats, and you don't special or anything during your opponent's turn, so you might as well just use this, unless you're playing the other variants like Dogmatica. You don't play this because that's just bad. For traps, one vanity. This is the reason why I said we don't always normal summon our Aleister. Sometimes you wanted to set it and pass, and you flip this up, and your opponent attack you. You can search for invocations, and by then, this after resolve, this card will send to the grave as well. So your invocation will live next turn. In the same time, you can stop your opponent from comboing off. So why not? That's why I played it there. This card is limited one for a reason. It's just too broken. This card shouldn't ban in my opinion. Next, triple crackdown, stopping your opponents from comboing off. Steal their monster is nice, and it's even nicer if you crack down your opponents and you activate scapegoats. If you have more monsters for your link fodders, it's just nice. And next off we have 2 strike. I wanted to play 3, but I didn't because I played the 3 judgment. In my opinion, I might put this up to 3 if I don't play vanities, but I don't want to lose too much life point and lose to grind game, because if you think about it, mostly your turn is empty field just past turn if you don't open any Leisters, so I don't want to lose too much of my life points. So in order for me to grind through my opponents, especially if your opponent is heavy combo and it's just gonna burst you off the game. So that's it for the monsters. Monster spell and trap, sorry. 40 cards. I'm not gonna change anything unless I'm playing a different build. 40 extras. 2 Mekaba, because why not? This is your go-to guy. If you see a Leister, you see him. If you see him, you have 3 negates and banishes, so why not? 1, I'll go there. I'm not gonna pronounce the name. I pronounce it every single time. It's wrong. This card is nice with the meltdown because it prevents your opponents from chaining it, and you can pop a monster. It's nice. And banishing a monster, a fusion from the grave to gain its attack. Mostly you banish Mekaba, and you can gain a 2500. It's a 4k5 beater. It beats through literally everything, even Tritrons. So yeah, I only play 1 because you don't always summon it, because it doesn't have the protection, but it pops a card for no reasons. 1 Purgatorio, my semi OTK combo with this is just good. Now mostly every deck play Ash. Like I even use this against Salmon Grey. It's a free fodder. I banish his Bailing so he can prevent from destroy it. And yeah, for links, the Mekaba fodders, so why not 1 Aleister equals Mekaba with this, or even this. Mostly I summon this a lot more than I summon these 2, because if I do, I have 1 Mekaba, so I can use this for my cost for prosperity. I can dig for scapegoats, and then this is just, we won't be using it next turn. So yeah. And for scapegoats, Link Spider, Link Kribo, Phoenix, Unicorn, pretty standard lineups. I don't play Cerberus because sometimes you don't have an appropriate target. Well, these do, so yeah, self-explanatory. It's standard lineups for scapegoats. And access code, you might not be able to see it. I'm sorry, it's a holographic rare. I might get a secret soon, but we'll just have to use this first, because this card wins you games. And for the spicy lineup, I play 1 Firewall, because this deck sometimes I loses to Shadows, and if your opponent's end board with a Winder, and you during your opponent's end phase, you can chain opening your scapegoats, and by using 4 scapegoats, you can use 4 to become Firewall, and your firewall can attack through the windows because you have 2500. So it came out sometimes, but it's just there for that kind of scenarios because I have trouble beating window, especially if they have multiples, and this one skateboard helps me remove one, so why not. And for the last two my extra deck is one Drancia and one Waspinator because I play Crackdown. You can crack down my opponent's Zodiacs and make into this. If you crack down his Drancia, his Dryden, or we call it in the TCG, you can just make this and attack. It can pierce defense. If it destroys, you summon one level 4 from the graveyard. So it's kind of nice. Well, there's not a better option for this. I plan to play Broadbow instead of this, but most of the time your opponents were gonna be embroiled with a Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. So if you Broadbow, they're gonna wipe your field. So you might as well just make this or just this. That's it for the extra decks. For the side decks, like I said, side deck is optional. It's based on your metagame, your locals. You can change it whatever you want. This is just my opinion. You guys can change whatever you want. Two Nibiru, again, combo decks. This deck loses to combo decks if you don't grind them off. So discard this too. And I play triple confronting this series. If for people who don't know what this card does, it says that if your opponent normal or special summon a monster, you can special summon this card to your opponent's field as defense positions. And if your opponent is going to synchro, exceed summon, or link summon it, they have to use this card first as materials. Means that if opponents normal summon like Raptor or Whiptail like Zodiacs, if you summon this card to their field, they're forced to link it with this card first. So they can just one card become an Xyz for Dryden's or whatever. These cards came up sometimes, so it's really nice to have this card. It came up sometimes. And two mind controls again for Zodiacs, for VFDs. You can use it to link it off. Because why not? You move your problems. Even Thunder Dragons, this deck loses to Thunder Dragons as well. So why not just play this? And the third Cosmic for back rows. And another back row clearing problems. Two Lightning Storms. I don't pay 3 because I draw too much. I always see 2 or 3 in my opening hands. I almost just lose it there, so 2 is enough. And another back row removal. I'm sorry, I have to play too much of a back row removal or even clearing boards. 3 Evenlys is my best side deck. I mostly play this in every single one of my decks, so yeah, why not? And the last 2 is 2D barriers because you still want to grind with your opponents like Drytrons, even Mirror Match, Thunder Dragon, Shadows. You wanted to grind, you don't want them to open off too much, so you can't clear their boss. These cards just stall them to turn. So guys, that's gonna wrap up for the profile. Let me know in the comments down below like what you think of this, and be sure to like and subscribe my channel as always. If you guys have any other deck profiles you want me to do or any combo tutorials you want me to do, make sure to let me down in the description below. You can write it in Chinese or any language, I can read it. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. 谢谢各位。